Oh, wow. 4th of July. Yeah. I flew back to Florida. I just bought a nice Harley Springer, a 90s custom Softail Springer. It was at my buddy's house.
That's at the Lake Pageant out there in Lutz, right?
Well, it was called Crystal Lake. It was a smaller lake off.
Right. Yeah.
And we were out having fun parasailing and doing stuff on the lake. And basically, we put the parasail away. We'd had a couple of little incidents, put the parasail away, and boom, and we were going to hop on our bikes, take a ride. And then we had some guys, we had a band that was going to play. We're out on this huge big house, open up on the lake. And next thing you know, Brian Blair comes up and they want to parasail. And my wife, and with a girl wanted to parasail, and my buddy Mikey, who owned the house, he said, no,
Mike,
his boat, his parasail, his company, everything, owned all the stuff. He said, no, we're done parasailing. Boom, and Brian wouldn't let up. They just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and finally Mikey snapped and went in and grabbed the parachute and stuff out of the storeroom. It was all wet. And we started pulling it out, and Mike jumped in the boat, and I'm working the line. We got 300 feet of special Kevlar line for the parasail, and they're trying to get them ready up on the beach so this girl can parachute, go parasailing. And finally, Mike he's disgusted with the whole thing. We're just about ready to go, but not quite. And Mike just takes off in the boat. And he knows that pulling the rope, pulling the parachute, eventually chute's going to get some air. She's going to come up, but it's going to be a real rough ride before that happens, because she'd never been, didn't have any idea what to do, and didn't know. And I'm out in the water trying to stop Mikey, going, stop, Mikey, stop, looking at the boat. He's going
You're in the water. You're not on the boat?
I'm in the water. I turn around to look and see what's going on with the girl and the parachute. And Mikey doesn't go straight out into the lake. He turns to follow the shore a little bit. And what that did was, now I'm off to the side thinking I'm in the clear. If Mikey goes straight, no problem. Well, Mikey didn't go straight, and she's coming towards the back of my head, just starting to come off the ground. And we're talking 30 miles an hour plus. And I turn right into her knees in my face at 30 to 35 miles an hour impact. So hard that when it hits me in the face, pushes my feet fly out of the water. I do a full gainer, because if I was to just fly backwards in the water, I would have landed way, way deep in the water. May not have been able to even get my footing, but I wasn't. I was still where I did this somersault in the air and came down. And I was only in less than knee-deep water. So I was able to get my bearings, but the impact had blinded me. I had optic nerve damage. I crushed all my airways, so I couldn't breathe. My palate broke and was collapsed. Couldn't open my mouth. So I had to take my thumb, force it in between my teeth, and push up on my palate and push my face back up. And that way I could make an airway so I could breathe. And then wait for help. Brian was one of the guys, the many people that were all around that ran out to help me, but it wasn't just Brian. It was, everybody. And they, instead of calling the helicopter to fly in and take me to the trauma center, which is the logical thing, I would have asked probably if I'd even thought of it. But at that time I was just thinking about, I had no idea how badly I was injured. And I was trying to talk with this thumb pushed in my mouth and just trying to worry about breathing. And I'm trying to tell him I'm hurt bad. My face, that's all I kept saying. My face is falling off. My face is falling off, because everything had collapsed. I had disintegrated my entire facial structure and everything collapsed. And they drove an ambulance up, put me in the back, and took me to the local emergency room at USF with no facilities for trauma at all. And Rick Rude's sister happened to be there, Nancy, and she was in the ambulance, And they rolled me into the screaming bloody murder the whole time. They rolled me into the emergency room and just left me. And basically I was dying at this point, period, barely alive, holding my hand in my mouth to breathe. And she's running around screaming, somebody help him, somebody help him, somebody help him. And they finally come over, start checking my vital signs and everything, taking my blood pressure, and realize, and they think I'm having a heart attack because my life signs are all over the place and completely crazy. And I got my hand shoved in my mouth and I'm trying to tell them, no, my face is falling off. My face is falling off. I'm trying to tell them I'm bleeding, but not profusely. I'm bleeding out of my eyes. I'm bleeding out of my nose, bleeding out of my mouth, and bleeding out of my ears. And you think somebody to figure out that I was hurt.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. And when this doctor shows up that just happens to be the best palate reconstructed guy on the planet, lives in Tampa, works in Tampa, has a practice in Tampa, and he gets sent to me, my location at the hospital, and starts looking at stuff, and then boom, man, starts making phone calls and shit. Next thing you know, 18-wheelers start rolling up in front of the hospital. 1, 2, 3. They had 3D imaging, 3D scanning, MRI machines, all kind of equipment that the doctor called and ordered, rolling into the hospital, and they're rolling me on a gurney out to the parking lot to put me on these machines and shit, because they decided that I was not stable enough to risk a helicopter flight of 20 minutes to the hospital. So they had to treat me on site. And
wow.
You want to talk about a miracle? Just that I'm alive at this point is a miracle. And now the best guy in the world is on the case and starts telling the doctors he wants to operate on me. And all the doctors are saying, no, this guy's dead. He can make it. There's no way. There's no chance. They saw the x-ray of my entire facial skull is disintegrated, not just broken, not just fractured. It's gone. It's gone. And the doctor says, oh, man, I know what to do. We're gonna do this, we're doing that. And basically this guy's a legend. And he started telling people, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And they couldn't talk him out of it. And he's ordering up this, and they had to bring in 5 teams of doctors. They had to bring in ear, nose, and throat guys because they got to rebuild my sinus cavities, which are crushed. They got to bring in an eye doctor to try to repair my optic nerve damage because I'm blind. They got to bring in a neurosurgeon because my brain, they don't know how much damage the concussion is that I'm suffering is going to do. They got to bring in an oral surgeon because my mouth, because my jaw, I didn't know if jaws were broken, what had happened. The palate's completely severed and broken loose. So they had to have all these teams of doctors call into the hospital. And then, and the doc puts in the call. I think he's called NASA. They sent over some space shuttle shit to put in my face. They put this titanium webbing that they use to tie satellite panels together in space. It's real super strong and super small and lightweight, but unbreakable. That's what they said. It's unbreakable. And this is what he wanted to rebuild my skull with, using the whole top of my skull. He peeled my face completely off, peeled my scalp back, and then took out the top of my head and used all that bone and then reconstructed everything from this part of was solid, but everything from here down was gone. So you had to rebuild all the eye orbits, my nose, everything to your cheekbones, how that attaches, all that stuff that attaches to your jaw to be able to have something to attach my teeth to. They had to rebuild all that and then put it all back. My eyelids had to be sewn shut when they pulled it off, put it all back, figure out how to put hollows into my skull. That's your sinus cavities. They're hollows. Look at a cadaver. Look at a skeleton in an anatomy book, and you see in these hollows. They had to recreate hollows in my head, all in my face and everything somehow. And they did that. And then I was on life support for several days in a drug-induced coma, recovering. And then when they brought me out of that, they finally revived me. My whole head was like a beehive of bandages and stuff. And literally my face, everything was
Jerry's coming in.
I was swollen. My head was swollen like a basketball. I mean, my lips looked like tomatoes, and my eyeballs, my head was so swollen. It's like when they finally got the bandages off, they had to cut the sutures on my eyes. All I remember is this big nurse jumping up onto the gurney, pulling the skin back on my eyeballs, putting an eye chart, and because my jaws were wired shut, I couldn't speak, but I could point. So they put eye charts in front of me and with things for me to point, wherever the chart was thing. And that's how they figured out that they were able to save my eyes and restore my vision completely. Miracle number 2. I'm still alive. First, and I was in surgery for 16 hours straight. All these teams of doctors, they said, this guy, he's never going to survive that long. They kept telling the doctor, no, we want to do this. The guy's not going to make it. He's not going to live that long. The doctor told me after the thing, they said, you were in such condition, you were in such good shape, your body just wouldn't die. The will to live was so strong, just your body wouldn't give up. It just kept on fighting.
What do you remember during that time? What do you remember? Like from the accident to that time you start coming to? Did you have any thoughts during that time? Did you know how much trouble you were in?
I didn't. I had no idea.
Or were you sedated?
They couldn't give me anything for sedation because of the extent of the neurological damage was not known. If they gave me anesthesia, could have killed me right away. Boom. They gave me any kind of pain medication, morphine, anything like that. Boom, could have died. So I had to wait till they got all this stuff ready to take me into surgery with not even an aspirin, brother. Let me tell you something. That was more pain than you could even, in your wildest imagination, believe to suffer through. And the doctor came to me, said, he had a real heavy accent. Eddie, we're going to take you to surgery now. Eddie, I said, okay, doc. With my hand stuffed in my mouth, I said, just kill me. If you can't fix me, kill me, because I can't take it. I can't take the pain anymore, doc. He said, don't worry. We're going to fix you up. We're going to fix you up. And they took me in there, and 16 hours later, boom. And then Terry wound up getting on a plane flying there. They said, look, we don't know when he comes to what's going to happen. He's in such bad shape. Plus, I just suffered, the accident just my career is gone. I'm done. I just went through a horrible divorce. I was going through a horrible divorce when this happened. My parents had both died the year before. It was not a good time for me. They said, we need somebody he knows well to be here when he comes out of it, because there's no telling what's going to happen. And so Terry got on a plane and was there when they wound up taking the bandages off and doing my eyes and finding out I could see. And the doctor's like, we need to get him up. And they started walking me down the hallway, and Terry on one side, the doc on the other side. And then next thing you know, Terry says, Doc, I think we better get him back. And Doc goes, what do you mean? And he looked over, my eyeball popped out. Popped out of the side. It wasn't laying down here or nothing, but Terry goes, Doc, his eyeball. Doc looks at me and goes, oh, geez. And so they're hustling me back. I can pop my eyeball back and suck it. And I'm there, and I got, they put eight strips of titanium and 32 screws and like 50 feet of this special titanium wire and everything to re-put everything back together. And my jaws had to be wired shut for 3 months. to let all that heal. And it's
Was your brain waves, was they still working? Or did you have any trouble with memory or speech or anything like that? Or,
no trouble with speech. Memory, I've got documented memory loss. I only remember one day of being in high school, and that's 3 years.
Wow.
Gone. That memory's completely gone.
What does it feel like now? You're all that tight.
Oh, it feels fine. Every feelings come back. It took 5 years almost for the swelling, all those swelling in my skull and my face and everything really to calm down and go away.
Yes. Now you're next to death. The girl that hit you, was her knees messed up? Did she have any medical? Nothing, huh?
No, she had she had cracked her kneecap or a minor injury.
Something minor. Wow.
Nothing. It just
what happened? Her kneecaps hit you where exactly in your face?
Her knees,
like
one
that
hit
right
me in
there.
the mouth, one hit me in the cheek.
Wow.
Just like this.
That was the impact zone. Wow.
So
somehow did knock all my teeth out.
It sounds like, since it was Brian Blair's idea, this is all Brian Blair's fault. 100% of it is Brian Blair's fault.